It all started in 1871, when John Fremont McCullough was born in Burren County, Iowa. With 11 siblings, he hardly stood out, but it's been assumed that it was in this part of his life that he gained valuable knowledge on farming as he assisted his parents, who had moved just a half-mile north of Douglas, Iowa, from Indiana to establish their family farm. By young adulthood, John married his lovely wife Maud before going to college in Oswego, New York, where he gained much-needed insight into the world of business. Upon returning to Iowa, the couple moved to Davenport, and John began working in the Green River dairy business just across the border over in Illinois. Anyhow, considering the proximity, John was now able to start building a network across 2 Midwestern states. Years beforehand, John and his wife already had one son, Earl, who unfortunately passed away as an infant. Around this time, in 1889, their second boy, Hugh Alexander, was born, followed by their daughter Esther in 1902.
Then, for nearly 4 decades, the trail goes dark, but when the family comes back on the radar, they were experimenting with ice cream in a quest that would ultimately become Dairy Queen.
In the year 1938, John and his only living son had perfected a recipe for soft-served ice cream that was unlike anything the world had seen. So they put it to test at the ice cream retail shop of one of their customers, Sherb Noble, on August the 4th of that same year. Astonishingly, when they ran this test, they sold over 1,600 servings for 10 cents each in just 2 hours. The guys were onto something big, so the McCulloughs spent the next 2 years modifying a soft-serve freezer to suit their concept. By 1940, John McCullough, his son, and Mr. Noble opened their very first soft-serve ice cream stand in Joliet, Illinois. At this point in our story, John, or Grandpa as most people had referred to him by then, named the shop Dairy Queen. The name was chosen because John viewed the cow as the queen of the dairy industry and his soft-served ice cream as the queen of all dairy products.
And let me tell you, those 1,600 servings they sold back then when only testing the product were nothing compared to the amount of ice cream that was about to be sold.
It was the perfect synergy. Co-founder Mr. Noble brought years of experience and a running network of business associates to the table. You see, Noble's interest in dairy products also began in his youth when he washed milk cans at a creamery in Clemens, Iowa. Shortly after, in 1923, he enrolled in a dairy course at Iowa State College. In fact, he recalled this time in a 1990 Kankakee Daily Journal interview. Students were expected to get some experience in the dairy business, so I got a job at the Hutchinson Ice Cream Company in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, making the mix. They had several small ice cream plants around the state, and they made the mix in one place and delivered it to the rest. But then the perfect storm would unfold when John met Noble in 1931 at the Minerva Valley Creamery in Clemens, Iowa. The McCulloughs had the product, and Noble had the distribution. And so it was. On August the 4th, 1938, on Southwest Avenue in Kankakee, Illinois, Sherb's Ice Cream Parlor opened, later to be known as Dairy Queen. Right off the bat, Dairy Queen launched as a pioneer of the franchising concept, growing to 100 stores in 1947. By 1949, malts and shakes appeared on the menu, and banana splits were added in 1951. In 1953, the first Dairy Queen restaurant opened in Canada, and by 1955, there were already 2,600 locations on the map.
Let that sink in. In just a matter of years, a humble farmer from Iowa, who no one ever really heard of before, became one of the most powerful people in American fast food.
Another notable step was taken in 1957 when the Dairy Queen Brazier concept was introduced. The name Brazier originated when one of the company's franchisees, Jim Cruikshank, set out to develop a standardized food system. He had his eureka moment when he witnessed flames rising from an open charcoal grill, also known as a brazier, in a New York eatery. However, this might not be a very memorable fact to our younger viewers since the Brazier name had slowly been phased out of signage and advertising since 1993. Even so, it has yet to be removed from all existing signage, especially in smaller towns and rural locations. Anyhow, expansion to new markets continued, and in 1959, the first Dairy Queen restaurant in Panama opened.
At this point, the franchise had grown into such a juggernaut that it was beyond what the family business could effectively manage. So, in what would be a very intuitive next step, Dairy Queen went corporate.
Things were changing. In 1962, International Dairy Queen was formed. Then, on February the 9th, 1963, at the age of 91, John passed away and was laid to rest in Iowa's Oakdale Memorial Gardens. Sentimentality aside, this is really when the establishment started taking the shape that we recognize today. The Buster Bar treat appeared on the menu in 1968. In 1971, Peanut Buster was created. 79 enjoyed further expansion to the Middle East, and in 1984, the partnership with the Children's Miracle Network began.
An even more pinnacle moment occurred in 1985 with the invention of the Blizzard.
Samuel Temperato, owner of 81 Dairy Queens and the company's most successful franchisee, invented the Blizzard. After patronizing a local frozen custard stand, Temperato realized that the frozen treat would have been even better had they added candy, and thus the Blizzard was born. According to Mashed, this development immediately impacted their bottom line, reading, quote, "To give you an idea of just how significantly the Blizzard impacted Dairy Queen's financial health, in 1985, the company reported a net income of $9.6 million with $151 million in sales.
That's the year the Blizzard blew in to shake things up.
By 1986, they saw a 26% spike on that same profit, almost all due to the Blizzard alone. And if you're wondering why Dairy Queen employees turn the Blizzard upside down before they serve it, it's a demonstration in proof of quality. This is another callback to the cold custard traditions of the 1950s, when customers were concerned that their dessert was watered down. Apparently in those days, business owners would playfully ignore pesky customers or just, quote, shut them up by turning the cup upside down, obviously showing the thickness.
And so it was. The Blizzard became the hallmark that would ultimately take Dairy Queen into the 21st century.
In 1991, co-founder Noble passed away, followed by John's daughter Estra in 1996. With all founding members of this amazingly successful company now laid to rest, their legacy was carried forward by the corporation they left behind. In 1995, Dairy Queen further expanded into hot foods with Treats Pizza and the Chicken Strip Basket. This move caught the attention of major corporations, and in 1998, Berkshire acquired them. But then, in 1999, a statement was made when 20 volunteers worked to create the so-called Colossal Blizzard, which weighed over 8,000 pounds. And then, in 2003, the Blizzard motif would continue when the Blizzard of the Month program was launched, resulting in some pretty outrageous concoctions. In 2005, grill burgers were introduced. In 2010, mini Blizzard treats took the world by storm. By 2015, Dairy Queen celebrated its 75th anniversary, and today there are almost 6,000 Dairy Queen restaurants in the United States, Canada, and 20 foreign countries. So I'd conclude by saying that, considering the company's humble origins, this story is the perfect example of the American dream gone right.
And we'll leave it there for today, but I do hope you'll consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe. Otherwise, until next time, I'm Ryan Socash, signing off.